Sweet Nitty Bong, and welcome back to my channel where we talk about all things Transformers and Transformers action figure related. And today we're doing what I think might be, apart from unless you count the manga ones I guess, my first graphic novel review. And this is for a crossover that happened a few years ago. 2018, I believe, to be exact. So this is our first look at Transformers versus Visionaries. First of all, the first thing that drew me in on this was the fact that it's Transformers versus Visionaries. Visionaries, if you don't know, were a toy line from the 80s that used holograms as a bit of a gimmick. Actually, Toy Galaxy have a great video on that. If you want to have a search and look at Toy Galaxy's video on Visionaries, that's absolutely fantastic and give you everything you need to know. Growing up, I loved both of these. Probably not as into Visionaries as I was into Transformers, obviously, but I remember having a lot of Visionaries, so I was really interested to pick this up. But also, look at that. The cover art on this is absolutely beautiful. Ironhide getting a spear through the back of the head. Oh, look at that. You just know some dark shit is gonna go down. So the art style on this is really good. I mean, if you know what the IDW art style is like, you can see that it's absolutely beautiful. The comic book artistry in this book is some of the most beautiful that I have seen. I absolutely love it. The IDW style for Transformers is definitely one of my favorite styles to ever see them drawn, and the way that they draw the Visionaries here is also really nice. Anyone who is a Visionaries fan, just to clear it up I guess from the beginning, is they have drastically redesigned a couple of the Visionaries, which for some people could be quite off-putting. They may think, who's that? That's not him. So first up, Merklin. So Merklin does look very different. I think from what I remember in the cartoon, he looked more beardy and more like Merlin. So very different there. Also, Violina, I think that's how you say her name, looking a little bit more like she's from Cyberpunk there. Very different to how she looked in the cartoon. But the biggest difference, I guess, is Leoric. So Leoric looks completely different. If I show you a better picture of Leoric there, you can see he now has kind of blonde dreadlocks and stuff like that. So they have drastically redesigned Leoric here. That is what Leoric and I can't remember how to pronounce her name, but the lady at the beginning as well, that's how they looked more in the comics. So you can see drastic difference, and Merklin there as well. So you can see there's a big difference there. I'm okay with it. I'm down with it. I think it actually looks okay. I mean, this is the classic Leoric. However, you know, their version of Leoric I think also looks brutal. So there's the newer version of them clashing versus the old. I'm here for it. I think it's good. I really like these updates on both of these characters. On the back, we also get some really cool artwork here of Cybertron being kind of enveloped in this green haze. You get the Visionaries at the front, both the Darkling Lords and the Spectral Knights, and then at the bottom you get the Transformers just falling to bits. So really cool artwork all over. The story itself takes place, and I'll try probably not to go into spoilers just yet, but just to give you an outline, the story takes place basically during Autobot peacetime, I believe, because as you can see, characters in this, we have Cup, Ironhide, Wheeljack, and Breakdown, who's obviously a Decepticon, all working together for the good of Cybertron during this, which leads me to believe that Cybertron is currently at peace. So then what happens is basically the Visionaries' home has been destroyed. but through Merklin's magic, they've teleported themselves not only to Cybertron but into the core of Cybertron, so underneath the ground in Cybertron. And what these Cybertronians are doing, because these flesh creatures are basically invading their planet, is they are keeping them on lockdowns. 2020, we know all about lockdowns, right? So they're keeping them on lockdown, keeping them quarantined and not letting them into the rest of Cybertron, which is causing tension between both sides. Basically, the Autobots don't trust the flesh creatures and the flesh creatures don't trust the Autobots. I got old Tankor. We can see Tankor here makes an appearance, and he is kind of overlooking everything. And again, on this side as well, like we have the Autobots working together, we also appear to have kind of the Spectral Knights and the Darkling Lords kind of sitting around a table and not fighting as much, because they're trying to protect their race, trying to protect their kind, and so are the Autobots, because nobody seems to trust each other. Getting into spoilers now, I guess, for the book itself. So we set the story up, and now we're going to get into some spoilers. Obviously, as we go through this, it all goes to shit, because they see Merklin as a war criminal, because Merklin is the person who brought them all here and did something really bad with his magic. So they see him as a war criminal and decides to lock him up. The Autobots visit them, but during their visit, Breakdown touches something on the ground and Breakdown loses an arm due to magic now in the ground of Cybertron. And what we learn is that this is Merklin's magical talisman. It's digging its way into the floor of Cybertron, into the core, to turn it basically back into their more like the Visionaries planet, more of a planet with plants and water and life, rather than the metal planet of Cybertron. So they have Merklin kind of locked up here as a war criminal because of what he's done. The Autobots are pissed at him, and to be fair, so is certainly Leoric from the Visionaries. But what happens here then is the Autobots go to confront the Visionaries about this, and Viralinia then tells them she knows that it's going down to the bottom, because she thinks that they deserve the planet more than the Autobots deserve the planet. Ironhide loses his shit and then decides to confront her, which sends Viralinia absolutely into rage, and she smites down Cup with great fury and anger. Also a really cool picture of Cup and Leoric there with their matching colours. Very nice. So Cup is beaten down, and then they carry Cup's head through as a prize. So a little bit of it's quite funny, because you believe it's going to happen to Ironhide, but a bit of a twist. What a twist! It turns out that it's Cup that falls down. We see Ironhide's alt mode in this, which is quite an odd alt mode here for Ironhide. Very bizarre, very weird. Obviously, usually he's more of a camper van type affair, even in his Cybertronian mode, but this looks more, I don't know, Bumblebee-esque? I don't know, weird, bit of a weird alt mode there, but it's really nice artwork there on that side. Then the Spectral Knights and the Darkling Lords basically go to war kind of against each other. Epic picture of them holding up Cup's head as they are victorious and say Cybertron will be no more. They then kind of release Merklin, or get to talking about releasing Merklin, and unfortunately for Leoric, some of the Spectral Knights actually side with the Darkling Lords and think, well, we've got to protect our people here. So they actually change allegiances and move over to working with the Darkling Lords, and you see a cool Visionary on Visionary fight here. which is always brutal to see. I'd forgotten how cool the Visionaries concept was with the fights and the holograms and the animals forms and all this. Really, really cool, really, really nice. Leoric there looking all brutal. As you can see, Merklin now out of his prison, and unfortunately for Leoric loses. Battered and bruised, Leoric then loses control of everything, and a new Chancellor of Primus is announced. This then leads to obviously the Darklings taking control of all of the Visionaries and deciding that they will run Cybertron. They will own Cybertron. And you see other Visionaries then bending the knee to the new Chancellor, and Leoric just loses all control of the entire situation. Breakdown's old arm, they continue to experiment on it, and Wheeljack realizes that by blocking some waves, he can actually bring the arm back, if only for a short time, but it can be done. So anything that the Visionaries do, they realize that they can actually reverse it. Waspinator kind of in chains. I think he was trying to look after or keep these guys locked where they should be, and he's just been overrun by the power of the Visionaries. So he's in chains here, and what Viralinia does is infuse him with magic, which then leads to a really cool scene where we actually see Viralinia riding Waspinator. Now to me, this is it insectoids, whatever it was, where you got the puppet and the thingy hung around on the figure was on the top of the puppet. This really looks exactly like that to me. I don't know if they've tried to make it look like that, but it's pretty cool. Viralinia then rides Waspinator. We then cut to Wheeljack and Breakdown, who are fitting a bomb inside Quick Switch. Leoric is now with the Autobots. He's joined them to tell them the plans of what's going on with the Visionaries and all the problems that they are currently having. The people who refuse to become Darkling Lords are tortured. So these are the old Spectral Knights, and actually one of the Darkling Lords that had joined the Spectral Knights and didn't believe in what Viralinia was actually trying to achieve here. We see Merklin as well, telling everybody about his plans. We then see Merklin talking to Arzon, and Merklin is telling Arzon that Viralinia needs to fall. She is like a temporary solution to this problem, and that he did it in the past with other Darkling Lords. People rise, people fall, and what he's saying is now that his people need Arzon to actually take control, to be the leader once Viralinia falls. Viralinia continues her rampage through, and what we see is all of the Autobots and what's left of the Spectral Knights. They're going to channel their way down to try and stop Merklin's pendant changing the rest of Cybertron. So you see there, they start to drill down into Cybertron. Really nice features, really nice artwork as they go down. They then find what they're looking for, which is this kind of, it almost looks like a thermal detonator in the middle, but it's the pendant, and it's smashed up by swords, which then leads to a big battle between the Spectral Knights here. Less Transformer action really towards the end, more Spectral Knight on Spectral Knight action as they fight it out and duke it out. Waspinator does come charging through the wall looking cool as hell, and obviously by the end there can be only one winner, and that winner is Leoric, and everybody is saved, and Cybertron is once again saved, this time in conjunction with the Spectral Knights. Waspinator is put back to his normal self and joins his friends again and they are just making sure that he's okay. As we can see, Virilinia is now in prison, and so is Merklin, back in prison. But what we see at the end is I've seen the future die, and that looks like Unicron. Would I recommend this to anybody? It's a difficult one, this. I enjoyed it. There's not as much Transformers action going on. It's a lot of kind of drama and politics going on within the Visionaries, the two sides of the Visionaries, rather than actual Transformers action going on. There's less going on there for Transformers, more around the Visionaries. I did enjoy it, but I wouldn't say that it's a vital pickup if you are. It's not like the Transformers versus Terminator crossover where I would say, you know, you've got to read that, because from both sides, Transformers and from a Terminator fan point of view, both are really cool. Same with the Ghostbusters crossover. For this, I would almost say it's more for Visionary fans than Transformer fans, but if you like both like I do, yeah, pick it up. Why not? Let me know your thoughts on this down in the comments. Have you picked up this one? Is this something you're looking forward to picking up? And I'll see you in my next video. Alright guys, in a bit. Peace.